No, it's funny, for some reason I discovered my GoPro stopped reacting to the top button, you know. Before, the camera is off and you just push the top button and it turns itself on and it starts recording. But recently it stopped working, so now I have to turn the camera on with the side button and then push the top button to start recording. And then suddenly it occurred to me, wait a second, let me check something, because I remember this option. It's called quick capture. This option is not set by default. And guess what? I go in the menu, general settings, quick capture, and for some reason it's off. So that's what happens, you know, when you drink some beer or wine and you start poking around. Very dangerous, you know. Never poke around when you're not certain what you're doing. Anyway, for some reason I'm in Porter, Indiana, of all places. I gotta practice my accordion, so I'll show you a couple of quick notes, since you have nothing better to do anyway. But I'll tell you about my day. We're not gonna do any driving today. Driving will be done tomorrow, but I can tell you that today I drove non-stop for about 5 hours from Port Huron, Michigan to Porter, Indiana. And what happened is that I only been off 2 days, right? Normally I try to take at least 3 days off, because I worked all Saturday, right? I delivered that Hyundai excavator near Barrie around lunchtime. Then I drove back. I mean, I was back in Cambridge around probably 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, you know. So whole Saturday I was working. So I took Sunday off, Monday off, and Tuesday, today, I drive in a leisurely pace towards the Starbucks, and I'm on my first coffee, and I decided to start with a decaf Americano. And my computer is up, but I haven't even checked anything yet, and all of a sudden my American phone rings, and the guy says, "Hey, this is so-and-so from this broker. Did you get my email?" I'm like, what? It's 8:30 in the morning. Like I said, I'm on my first coffee, and it's not even caffeinated, right? Hold on. So I look at the email, and the email says, "We got it. Your quote was accepted." I'm like, wait, what quote? Like, I was just about to start looking for a load, maybe for tomorrow, for Wednesday, or maybe I can take, you know, a few days off, you know, keep resting, because, you know, I'm thinking about April 1st, right? April 1st, I have to be in Baltimore, Maryland, at the courthouse over there. And so this guy says, "Well, you know, the quote was accepted, and when can you load tomorrow?" I'm like, what? I look at his, you know, we have a conversation, of course, there, you know, very useful. You can see your old emails, right, the way they're organized. And I see, yeah, I did give him a quote a few days ago. He asked me he did like a mass mailing, and he asked me and a bunch of other people, whoever on his Rolodex, so to speak, he asked for a quote. There was like a couple of graders, and they were about like 55,000 pounds. I hate those machines, and plus they were going to a wrong place. And then there was a dozer. I like dozers, right? I don't do them often. They're nice, cute little machines, as long as they don't have the blade and they're not too heavy. And this one was D6, and the dimensions were there, so no blade, and it's about 49,000 pounds, I think, or 55. But anyway, somewhere around 50. So the cool thing, and why I agreed for this one, is because if you remember my last 2 trips, I only had a Tridem trailer, right? Even though it's a modular trailer, so I can throw on a bunch of other axles, the booster, I can hook up the Jeep. But it's so nice actually once in a while to drive with a normal trailer, you know, just Tridem trailer, a regular truck, well, 4-axle truck. And so this, when I quoted the guy this dozer, I thought it would be so cool to do this because then I don't have to pay the wrecker service or a crane company to change my axles, right? I can just go there with the same Tridem trailer and 4-axle truck. 7 axles is more than enough. And I said, and this is loading in Illinois at the CAT plant and going back to Ontario. And I remember something about frost laws in Michigan, right? And so I told this guy, I said, I'm pretty sure Michigan will not give me a permit for this because I'm still gonna be, you know, my empty weight with 3 axles is 57, and with quad it's 60,000 pounds. So now I'm 57 plus, let's say this dozer, I forgot, 50 I think. So it's still, you know, it's over 20,000 pounds. 20,000 pounds over the 80, right? And I said, Michigan might not give us a permit, so I'm gonna charge you for the detour across Ohio, New York, and then even though it goes basically just 1 hour west of my yard in Cambridge, so it goes, you know, London, Ontario, but if you go through Ohio and New York and Pennsylvania, New York, and then cross in Buffalo, then you have to drive back 2 hours. It's a lot of miles. And so I gave him my rate based on that. And this guy says, well, it's approved, you know. And I'm like, holy moly. And then he starts pushing me, you have to load tomorrow, Wednesday. I look at the map, I'm 600 miles away, and it's 9 o'clock. And I said, man, but you know, the money is outrageous. And I said, send me the rate confirmation. If you want me to be there tomorrow morning, I need the rate confirmation. And he says, we haven't built the load yet. Built the load. Give me a few minutes. And I said, well, unfortunately, I said, I need the rate and he says, can you leave without the rate confirmation? I said, no. It's 600 miles. I'm not driving without the rate confirmation. And again, it was not possible to book a load going this way because you see, this is like extra urgent. You have to be there Wednesday. There's no chance for me to book a load because then I'll be busy for 2 or 3 days, right? There might be some delays with customs, with permits. You never know. So you gotta go empty. But that's why I charge him a high price. So for me it's the same as if I'm loaded. So basically they're paying me as if I'm loaded both ways. So that's it. But it's not easy. You have to that's why I always say that when you're independent, the most important skill is not driving, it's selling. You gotta know how to talk to people, how to sell yourself, right? How to persuade people to accept your point of view. And I'm guessing they were desperate, probably no trucks or something, to ship this a relatively small dozer to Canada, and probably time is running out. And so they agreed to pay me basically both ways. And and I said, okay, I need to have the rate confirmation. I said, I'll give you until 10 o'clock. I said, so this was already 9, so I said, I'll give you until 10. If I get the rate confirmation before 10, then I can do at least 400 miles today and leave 200 for tomorrow morning. I can be there in Illinois, I said, between 10 and 11. And the guy says, okay, we gotta build the load. And as I later discovered, build the load, that's like an office speak. So they didn't even do any paperwork. So build the load means they have to create the bill of lading, invoice, you know, do the paperwork, set the load up. And then 15 minutes later, my phone rings and the guy says, did you get it? I said, get what? He says, my email. Shoot, okay, I opened the email again. I guess I was daydreaming how I don't want to work, you know. And I look at the email, sure enough, there's a rate confirmation there. I said, yeah, I got it. I'm gonna sign it and send it back to you shortly. Okay. So I sign it, send it back, and I look at the clock. Son of a gun, it's 9:30. And so I had to leave. And so bought some supplies, bought some water, bought some noodle soup, because time was of the essence. And I drove to my truck, moved all this stuff, you know, this was in my car, right? Moved this to the truck and started the truck. I have the leak again, like, because the red button popped out. The truck was sitting there for 2.5 days, and it was, this morning was -2 Celsius, so about 29 F. And of course, when that happens, when there's no air in the system and it's negative, you know, freezing temperature, some moisture gets in there, so it starts leaking. I go back there to check, and it's that thing, you know, like a big valve, so it does not allow the tank to get any air. And I could put my hand under and I can feel where the air is coming from. It's that valve that's supposed to, you know, cut off pressure, I'm pretty sure. Some kind of an excessive pressure valve, and it starts leaking when there's some moisture there, or some when it's cold. I had this a few times on different axles. But then once it warms up, you know, when you start driving, the air, of course, so basically it's leaking, so all the bad air, if there's moisture in there, eventually leaves, and then it stops. But this time it's leaking, and I look at my airbags are soft on the trailer. Like, what the heck, what do I do now? So I got more of that anti-freeze thing, you know. I popped the red button, and I went to the back and I put some anti-freeze, you know, in the air line at the front of the trailer, and then I unhooked the line, the red line on the neck, put something in there. And then I got back in the truck and I pushed the red button so that air will unlock the wheels. And I started driving, and then I saw that the suspension raised, because I could see the rear tires, you know. At first, like, my frame is right, and then in front of the rear frame there's a tire, and so I can see from my seat when the tire was like this. So basically the frame was down. That means that there was very little air, right? But as soon as I drove, like, I don't know, half a kilometer, you know, quarter of a mile, I see the frame raised, and I could no longer see the top of the tire on the rear axle. And sure enough, the leak stopped, you know. So it's just moisture somewhere. And of course I did not drain the truck tanks. I should really get into a habit of doing that, you know. When you park the truck and you take some time off, always a good idea, drain all the tanks. But anyway, the problem was fixed. So now the only problem left is the flashing lights. You know, after I went through that crazy winter weather in northern Ontario, the flashing lights in the bumper, those yellow lights, amber lights, they stopped working. They don't work on the main unit, on the tandem. They don't work on this lift axle that, I mean, on the flip axle that I have now, axle 3. They don't work on the booster, and I don't remember if they work on that other flip axle I have there sitting in the grass. And so I'm at a TA in Porter, and they have lots of lanes in there actually in the shop, and I thought maybe I could ask them. But I go in, I see there's a bunch of, I passed them on the way here, I see there's a bunch of trucks on the other side waiting to get entry. And normally, even though they have like 5 or 6 lanes, but usually they don't have that many technicians, right? So they might have like 2 or 3, because I saw the other lanes were empty. So I'm pretty sure they probably have like 3 technicians, if that. And then of course, if there's a road call, for them that's the priority, so they send the guy on the road call, because they make much more money when doing the road call than inside the shop. And so I thought, you know what, that's it, I'm not doing it. I'll fix it when I'm back home. And so tomorrow I have to drive 3 more hours, I think, or maybe even 4, towards East Peoria, Illinois, and load that nice, cute, brand new D6 and take it back to Canada. But what I'm gonna do now is I gotta order the permits. So of course it's too late, but first thing in the morning my permit company will see them. because I asked them about Michigan, and they said, actually, we were doing permits for somebody, and lots of people were going through Port Huron. And I said, did you do anything Monday, yesterday? Because, you know, each week, usually Michigan publishes a new news release about these frost laws, and every week usually they move that line. You know, like before it was the highway, like they go by the highway, you know, like one of the major highways like US or Michigan highway that crosses the state at the bottom there. Let's say they say anything below the south of that highway is basically a frost zone, so no overweight loads, right? And then slowly, as the spring is coming in, they start moving upwards. They say, okay, now that border is, let's say, I-94, right? And then they keep going, and at a certain point, one of these news releases, I know from the past experience, will say the entire Michigan is now considered the frost, you know, law zone. But I checked this last one, which came into effect Monday, yesterday, and it says basically Lansing, I-69 towards Port Huron from Lansing, below that's off limits, but 69 and Port Huron, that's kind of like a gray area, right? I'd like to cross into Canada via Port Huron. So what? And Detroit is open. Detroit is not. Oh, actually, yeah. Sorry, my bad. I meant to say north of the line. So basically, they start these frost laws north of that highway. So in this case, south of Port Huron and south of I-69 it's good, but north of that, where, you know, where it was colder before, right? So the frozen ground starts getting softer. That's where they prohibit that. But anyway, it looks like depending on the route, I can go through Michigan. And so that's why I need to order the permits now, because I know the dimensions from Caterpillar. Caterpillar is usually pretty good about dimensions and weight. I'm gonna add probably a couple of 1,000 pounds just to be on the safe side, but I'm not gonna be that heavy, probably 9 feet 6 inches wide, legal height, you know, just a cute little dozer, no blade. And I want to order the permits, and I'm gonna tell them in the comments there. I can add in a comment when ordering the permit. I can say order Michigan first, because if they say no, then I need to go through Ohio and PA and New York. It's going to be much longer, and then of course my entry through Indiana will change, right? So if they order everything, you know, like Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and then Michigan says no, then we have to redo Indiana, right? Because now you have to go into south instead of east. So anyway, so that's one problem. And then I have to print out, using my little mobile printer, I have to print out the bill of lading, right? When you're loading at a Caterpillar, you need to show the original, like the bill of lading that says Caterpillar at the top, so they know that you're legit, you're not trying to steal a machine, right? And that's it. And so tomorrow is going to be a long day. But yeah, so Porter, Indiana, and this morning I had no clue that I will be here. I thought I will take another day off. But the guy says, yeah, your quote is accepted. And again, I look at the amount, holy moly, like I charged them so much money because I thought Michigan is closed, which it still might be. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. So hopefully, oh, and the guy sends me the appointment. He says, your appointment is for 11 a.m. CDT, Central Daytime, what is it? Central Daytime Zone, right? Because now I'm on Eastern time, Eastern Daytime savings, but once I come to closer to Chicago, I gain 1 hour. And so 11 is actually what, 12 my time, right? Eastern. So which gives me lots of time to get to the plant tomorrow. So I'm charging my second GoPro. Maybe I'll show you guys some driving tomorrow morning. So those are the news. Thanks for watching.